Is it a clever plan? Does it really stick to the red lines that Theresa May set out?
I'm amazed Andrea's saying this. I mean, it clearly doesn't stick to the red lines. It isn't Brexit. And Leave supporters who are supporting Leave Means Leave are incandescent with rage. I mean, I sat on a campaign committee with ministers who have chosen not to resign. I'm deeply, deeply disappointed that they have chosen not to resign, because this is not Brexit. You know, the description, for example, of the way in which the rule book will work is completely wrong. In trade, you either each send products to the other on the basis of their national standards, or you agree mutual recognition. That's the way trade deals work. This is not a trade deal. This is the UK maintaining its membership of the single market because we become a rule taker in perpetuity. That's a red line and a manifesto commitment that has been broken by the Prime Minister. On immigration, there's absolutely no clarity at the moment as to exactly how that will work. If it works in relation, for example, to anybody from the EU being able to enter the UK if they have a job, bearing in mind there are lots of intermediaries who will provide them with jobs, we will continue to have mass migration into the UK.
Would you have expected Andrea Leadsom to have resigned as a Brexiteer?
I would have hoped Andrea would have resigned. I would have hoped Boris would have resigned and Michael Gove would have resigned. And I'm deeply disappointed that they haven't done that.
Free movement will absolutely end. There is no question about that. We will not have free movement. And just to John's point about being a rule taker, this extends only to goods. Now, the UK economy is 80% or more services and data and digital and so on. In terms of the absolutely key areas where we're looking for mutual recognition, that will continue. In the goods area, many standards are actually global, international standards, and many of the EU's rules are taken from that. It's actually a very stable environment. And let's not forget, we start with exactly the same rules. So this is a means by which to keep the integrity of the United Kingdom, solving the problem of the Northern Ireland customs border, whilst at the same time leaving ourselves free to trade around the world and to sign free trade deals.
The problem is, John Longworth, there isn't a majority for what you want in Parliament. So Theresa May and Andrea Leadsom and others have shifted in order to meet that very important point about the Northern Irish border. And that is why there was never going to be the Brexit that you would have liked to see.
But it's no use pretending that it's Brexit. The fact of the matter is that we will continue with the rule book. It's a continuation. The fact that we've actually got freedom on services is of no relevance. There's hardly a single market in services in the EU as it stands. So actually, we've gained nothing but given away an awful lot. It's worse than the Norway deal. Norway, at least, doesn't have to comply with agriculture and food issues. We've got a situation where there may be a problem in terms of parliamentary numbers, but the British people voted for Brexit and to leave. And the Conservative Party will suffer very badly for letting the British people down and actually breaking their own commitments in the manifesto.
Laura.
Andrea Leadsom, can I just ask you briefly, there's a suggestion this morning that David Davis was offered your job to stay on in his conversations last night. Now, maybe scurrilous Westminster gossip. Can you shed any light on that?
Well, there was also a rumour this morning that I'd resigned. I wasn't aware that I'd resigned or that someone else was offered my job. No, not aware. Not aware.
The EU will continue to ask for more concessions.
And that's a different point.
And by the way, but it's not a different point if you give way. And by the way, if we have a situation where freedom of movement continues to the extent that people who come into the UK into low-skilled jobs continues, that will perpetuate the problem we have at the moment. Every single low-skilled worker that comes into the UK is subsidised by British taxpayers to the extent of £3,500 a year in subsidies to corporations who are not investing in skills and not investing in productivity improvements. And that is an outrage when you consider the nearly 900,000 unemployed under 25s in the UK, which is a national scandal.
Right.